Search and rescue crews continue to look for survivors in the US state of Kentucky, where record flooding has wiped out entire communities.
A massive magnitude 8.8 earthquake.
A massive geological revelation has recently sent shockwaves through the scientific community and the broader public alike. A significant subterranean crack has been discovered beneath the Appalachian Mountains. Geologists have sounded a red alert, emphasizing the urgency and gravity of this unexpected phenomenon. The Appalachians, one of the oldest mountain ranges in the world, have long stood as silent giants stretching from Newfoundland in Canada to central Alabama in the United States. They are typically viewed as stable and geologically calm compared to the more volatile ranges like the Rockies or the Cascades. However, this new discovery challenges that assumption in dramatic fashion. Before we start, hit the like and subscribe buttons for more exclusive news. Beneath the surface of these ancient ridges, an expansive fissure has been found slicing through the bedrock deep underground. Advanced seismic imaging tools, initially deployed to study subsurface rock formations for academic and resource management purposes, picked up anomalies that triggered further investigation. As geologists analyzed the seismic echoes, what they found was far more than a typical fault line or natural erosion pattern. It was a deep, jagged rupture stretching over an estimated several hundred miles beneath the crust, unseen, unheard, and completely unanticipated until now. What has made this discovery so startling is not just the size of the crack, but its location and behavior. The Appalachian region is not considered tectonically active by modern geological standards. While the range was formed hundreds of millions of years ago during continental collisions, the area has been largely quiet in terms of earthquakes or volcanic activity in contemporary times. The crack's emergence, therefore, raises fundamental questions about what is occurring beneath the crust in this region. As scientists dig deeper, both figuratively and literally, into the nature of the fissure, their concerns have mounted. The crack appears to be growing. Satellite-based interferometry and repeated seismic scans over a matter of months suggest that the rupture is expanding at a measurable, albeit slow, rate. This dynamic evolution indicates more than just a passive geological feature. It points toward active processes that could potentially reshape the subsurface landscape of the eastern United States. The implications of this discovery are manifold and complex. First and foremost is the question of seismic risk. While the Appalachian Mountains have historically been seismically quiet, the presence of a growing subterranean crack introduces the possibility of stress redistribution within the Earth's crust. If tectonic pressures have been silently accumulating along ancient fault lines and are now beginning to move again, there is a potential, however slight at this stage, for seismic activity in areas that have not been prepared for it. Cities like Asheville, Roanoke, and even parts of Pittsburgh and Philadelphia sit along the broader Appalachian zone. Their infrastructure was never designed to withstand serious earthquakes. A minor tremor in these regions might do little damage, but a significant one could prove catastrophic. In addition to seismic concerns, the crack raises questions about hydrogeology. Subsurface fissures can become conduits for groundwater, or conversely, barriers that alter the flow of aquifers. This shift in subterranean water dynamics can have profound effects on ecosystems, agriculture, and even the quality of drinking water across multiple states. Preliminary hydrological models are already showing anomalies that suggest water tables could be shifting subtly but meaningfully across affected regions. Springs once reliable are now seeing variances in output. Wells that have served generations may begin to run dry or show contamination if mineral-rich layers are disturbed and leached into aquifers. Further complicating the issue is the potential impact on resource extraction industries. The Appalachian region has long been a hub for coal mining, natural gas extraction, and other subterranean activities. Fractures in the Earth's crust can interact dangerously with these industrial processes. A sudden shift in subsurface pressure could lead to collapses, methane releases, or other destabilizing events. Drilling operations, particularly those utilizing fracking technologies, could inadvertently intersect with or aggravate the crack, exacerbating its growth or triggering localized seismic activity. This discovery also carries broader implications for our understanding of North American geology. For decades, the Appalachian Mountains were regarded as geologically stable and well understood. Their formation during the Paleozoic era was thought to be the end of their tectonic journey. But the new evidence suggests a more complicated narrative. The underlying crust may be far from inert. There may be residual stresses from ancient collisions, or new forces at play beneath the North American plate that are only now beginning to surface, literally and metaphorically. If that's the case, it means that geological timelines once assumed to be static need revision, not just for the Appalachians, but potentially for other so-called stable regions across the globe. Geophysicists are also beginning to consider whether the crack might be connected to deeper mantle processes. Some theorize that what is being observed is not just a crustal anomaly, but a signal of deeper convection currents or mantle plumes exerting pressure from below. This raises chilling possibilities. Deep mantle activity tends to be slow but immensely powerful, capable of altering continental positions over geologic timescales. If mantle plumes are indeed pushing upward beneath the Appalachian plate, it may herald a slow tectonic rejuvenation of a region thought to be tectonically retired. Adding to the unease is the sheer unpredictability of such a development. Geological processes occur on timescales that are typically measured in millions of years, but the discovery of a growing crack within a matter of months suggests that some changes might unfold far more rapidly than previously believed. While this doesn't necessarily mean an imminent catastrophe, it demands immediate, sustained scientific attention. Networks of seismic monitors are already being expanded throughout the region, and mobile ground-penetrating radar units are being deployed to capture high-resolution images of subsurface changes in real time. Meanwhile, communities within the broader Appalachian corridor are beginning to hear whispers of the Red Alert. Though official statements have remained measured, the Red Alert designation in scientific terms signals a call for urgent data collection, analysis, and preparation. It is not a public panic button, but it is a wake-up call for those in geology, civil planning, and environmental monitoring to pay very close attention. Another dimension that cannot be ignored is the ecological one. The Appalachian Mountains host some of the most biodiverse temperate forests on Earth, including species of plants and animals found nowhere else. The crack's influence on soil composition, water flow, and subterranean temperatures could have ripple effects on these delicate ecosystems. Altered nutrient pathways or groundwater chemistry might lead to the loss of key species or the proliferation of invasive ones, destabilizing ecological balances that have existed for thousands of years. Academic institutions are already pivoting resources toward Appalachian geology. A flurry of grants and funding applications has emerged, and interdisciplinary teams of scientists, from geologists to climatologists, ecologists to civil engineers, are converging to study the situation. Data-sharing platforms have been established to encourage real-time collaboration across states and even national borders. International geological bodies are also expressing interest, as the phenomenon could represent a global template for re-evaluating the stability of ancient mountain ranges elsewhere. Even amid the rapid escalation of concern, there is still much uncertainty. The crack's ultimate trajectory, its potential impact, and its causes remain shrouded in mystery. Some experts are urging caution, reminding others that geological anomalies can sometimes plateau or even reverse course. Yet the Red Alert status remains in effect because the potential risks are too significant to dismiss. The situation demands ongoing scrutiny, not only to understand the immediate danger, but to integrate this event into a broader framework of geological knowledge. One especially intriguing line of inquiry is the potential connection between this subsurface rupture and previously recorded but unexplained phenomena in the region. Strange acoustic anomalies, microquakes, and sporadic changes in electromagnetic fields have occasionally been reported in isolated areas along the Appalachians. For years, these were dismissed as unrelated or environmental noise. But some scientists are now re-examining that data through the lens of this new crack. Could these have been precursors, subtle signatures of deeper structural changes already underway? If so, it might allow for the development of new predictive models, not just for this region, but for other seemingly quiet zones worldwide. As this research continues, there's also a renewed interest in ancient oral traditions from indigenous communities throughout the Appalachian corridor. Some tribes have long-standing stories of the land groaning or breathing in strange ways, especially near certain mountain passes and riverbeds. Modern researchers are starting to wonder whether these accounts, passed down through generations, might hold clues to recurring geological patterns that science has overlooked or forgotten. While not a substitute for empirical data, these narratives offer a valuable cultural lens through which to interpret the living history of the land. The sense of mystery and magnitude surrounding the Appalachian crack cannot be overstated. It is a reminder that even in the 21st century, with satellites in orbit and supercomputers analyzing the planet's rhythms, the Earth can still surprise us. The ground beneath our feet, often taken for granted as solid and immutable, has shown once again that it is alive with forces we do not fully comprehend. The red alert serves not as a declaration of doom, but as an invitation, perhaps even a demand, for deeper inquiry, humility, and vigilance. As geologists continue to probe the depths of the crack, using ever more sophisticated equipment and collaborative frameworks, they are walking a tightrope between scientific discovery and environmental stewardship. The goal is not just to understand what is happening, but to anticipate what might come next, and to do so in a way that protects both people and the planet. That balancing act will require time, investment, and above all, an open mind to the unexpected. While the discovery of the massive crack beneath the Appalachian Mountains has sparked scientific urgency, its implications extend well beyond the boundaries of geology alone. This hidden rupture, veiled beneath millennia of rock and sediment, serves as a gateway into understanding how deeply interconnected Earth's systems truly are. As the investigation moves from discovery to interpretation, new disciplines are being drawn into the conversation, each bringing unique questions and methodologies that further enrich and complicate the unfolding story. From a geotechnical engineering perspective, the stability of foundational land is paramount. The Appalachian region hosts countless communities, cities, and towns that rely on the integrity of the ground beneath them for everything from residential housing to transportation infrastructure. Highways wind along mountain passes, railways cut through ridges, and countless bridges span the rivers flowing from these highlands. The emergence of a deep, unstable geological feature introduces the possibility of subsidence or ground shifts that could compromise structural integrity. Engineers are beginning to assess long-term vulnerability, particularly in areas where clay-rich soils may amplify movement if disturbed. Even a marginal shift could create devastating consequences for aging infrastructure, especially in isolated rural areas where maintenance has historically lagged. Additionally, this subsurface crack brings into focus an underexplored concept: latent tectonic zones. The theory suggests that regions traditionally believed to be inactive might harbor dormant zones of weakness, remnants from ancient continental collisions. These zones can remain stable for hundreds of millions of years, only to awaken under specific geophysical conditions. In the case of the Appalachian crack, one emerging hypothesis posits that small-scale stress accumulations, possibly from isostatic rebound, sediment compaction, or thermal convection, could trigger reactivation. If confirmed, this theory could significantly alter how geologists model continental interiors. Current tectonic frameworks might require revision to include not only active plate boundaries, but also complex stress networks deep within continental crusts. Further complicating the picture is the discovery of unusual mineralogical signatures within the crack itself. Rock core samples extracted from nearby boreholes have revealed pockets of ultra-fine crystalline structures not typically found in the region. These minerals, formed under high-pressure, low-temperature conditions, suggest rapid and localized transformations within the rock. This has opened new discussions among petrologists, who believe the crack may serve as a conduit for superheated fluids from deeper layers of the crust. Such fluids could be altering the mineral composition of the surrounding rocks, leading to the observed changes. If superheated fluids are indeed present, then geochemists face an entirely new set of concerns. These subterranean fluids can carry dissolved gases and metals, potentially creating pockets of instability. If these fluids were to migrate toward the surface or intersect with aquifers, the chemical balance of groundwater could shift dramatically. This is particularly troubling for regions dependent on untreated well water, where arsenic or other heavy metals could be introduced into the human water supply without immediate detection. Furthermore, any thermal anomalies in groundwater systems might also lead to unexpected surface effects. such as sinkholes, geyser-like eruptions, or soil expansion in areas previously thought to be geologically predictable. The interplay between this geological anomaly and climate science is also garnering attention. Though the connection is not immediately obvious, changes in underground structures can influence surface processes, particularly as they relate to erosion, vegetation patterns, and carbon storage. If the crack is altering water flows or subterranean temperatures, then over time, this could lead to shifting plant growth cycles or the destabilization of soil carbon reservoirs. Appalachian forests are critical carbon sinks in the eastern United States, and any disruption to their ecological stability could have cascading effects on carbon balance and atmospheric CO2 levels. Moreover, the socio-political dimension of the discovery is beginning to emerge. States along the Appalachian corridor, already dealing with a history of economic disparity and environmental exploitation, now face the challenge of coordinating a multi-jurisdictional response. Funding for geological surveys, emergency preparedness, and infrastructure assessment must be allocated, potentially redirecting resources from other pressing needs. Rural counties with limited budgets will need federal assistance to conduct detailed risk assessments. Legislators are being briefed not only on the scientific facts, but also on the long-term planning required to mitigate even the remotest possibility of disaster. Public communication is another delicate frontier. The term red alert carries undeniable weight, but for the average citizen, its meaning may be unclear or misinterpreted. It does not signify immediate danger in the way a hurricane warning or tornado siren does. Instead, it signals a phase of heightened scientific vigilance. Still, explaining this nuance to the public without inducing panic is a daunting task. Education campaigns must be launched, utilizing local media, town halls, and school programs to foster informed awareness. People living in the Appalachian region deserve transparency, not alarmism. But managing that balance is no small feat. In the realm of data science, the crack has presented a real-time case study for machine learning applications in geology. Algorithms are now being trained to detect microanomalies in seismic data that may precede visible changes in the crack's dimensions or orientation. This effort requires the integration of massive data sets collected from sensors, satellites, drones, and even smartphone accelerometers. Data scientists and geologists are collaborating in ways rarely seen, blending fields that were once considered distant cousins into an urgent partnership aimed at early detection and pattern recognition. Simultaneously, remote sensing specialists are deploying synthetic aperture radar, SR, and LiDAR technologies to scan the region for any signs of surface deformation. These tools allow scientists to detect shifts as small as a few millimeters over vast areas, providing invaluable data without the need for invasive drilling. These scans are repeated on a rolling basis, building a layered timeline that can reveal subtle but crucial changes. Each new dataset is not just a snapshot, but a piece of an unfolding story, a temporal mosaic that may help decode the crack's trajectory and behavior. Yet for all this technological advancement, the discovery also brings about a philosophical reckoning with human hubris. For centuries, civilization has forged ahead under the assumption that nature's greatest forces reside at the margins, along fault lines near volcanoes beneath the oceans. The interior of the Appalachian region, pastoral and serene, was thought to be exempt from such primal unrest. Now that illusion is shattered. The Earth is reminding humanity that it still holds secrets, and that even the most seemingly tranquil landscapes can harbor latent fury. This revelation also fuels the imagination, not just of scientists, but of the general public. What else lies hidden beneath our feet? Could there be other ancient rifts dormant beneath placid plains, biding their time until some unknown threshold is crossed? If this crack is just the beginning, it opens a realm of inquiry not only across the Appalachian region, but throughout the global interior landscapes. In Eurasia, Africa, South America, other stable regions might soon warrant fresh scrutiny under the light of this startling event. There's also growing curiosity about how ancient life forms may have responded to such geological changes in the past. Paleontologists are beginning to investigate fossil records around the periphery of the crack zone, looking for signs of abrupt shifts in species distribution or extinction patterns that might coincide with ancient fractures. Layers of sediment disrupted by historical tectonic activity might hold clues not just about rock movement, but about the resilience of life in the face of subterranean upheaval. In an ironic twist, the crack may also provide a rare opportunity for energy research. Some scientists believe that unique geothermal gradients along such ruptures could allow for experimental clean energy extraction methods. While still in the early conceptual stages, the idea is to tap into the heat differential created by the crack's interaction with deeper crustal layers. However, this carries enormous ethical weight. Attempting to extract energy from a geologically unstable feature could be seen as a provocation, and the consequences of such experimentation must be weighed with the utmost caution. If you liked this video, please give it a like and subscribe to our channel. Also, could you leave your comments below and tell us, what are your thoughts on the massive crack beneath the Appalachians? Will it collapse? We want to hear from you. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.